Good morning, guys. Let me clean off my camera. There it is. That's a little bit better. Hey, guys, already hopping on the stream. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, everybody. So I'm going to talk a little bit, and then I will answer comments. Sometimes I'm on StreamYard, so if you're watching replay, I don't know how to, if anyone's a StreamYard expert, I don't know how to make it so that people watching replay can watch the chat. So if anybody knows how to do that, feel free to comment and let me know. Those of you guys just coming on, tell me where you're from. Let me know where you're coming in from. I did put on a little, trying to make sure everything looks okay here. People are coming on. Awesome. I did put on a little makeup today, which is not typical for me. So yes, welcome, welcome everybody coming on. I'm going to talk about in this live stream, eating too much protein, how you know you're doing it. Hello, South Dakota. How, like some testing measures, some symptoms you might be having. I'm going to talk about my experience. So, and then we'll do some Q&A. So I will try to, as I go on these live streams, this is maybe my third or fourth one solo. I think my third. Hello from Finland and from California, from Kansas, Holyoke, Massachusetts. That's where my husband's from, actually. He's from Western Mass. So I'll just try to do my best here, guys. So thanks for being patient. So a couple little housekeeping things. First, I've noticed, and this is like with all the YouTube channels that I follow, that there's like 3 different new little settings for notifications now. So I have some channels I subscribe to, and I was not getting their notifications. So YouTube has changed their notifications. So if you're not getting notifications for my videos, go into your YouTube settings and go under my channel also and make sure there's like 3 little weird notification settings. So make sure your notifications are on. Hello, Michigan, UK, California, Adirondacks. I probably just said that wrong. I've been there before for a wedding when I was 12, so many years ago. Beautiful place. Austin, Texas, Chicago, Baltimore, Pennsylvania. You guys rock. Thank you for telling me where you're from. And if you're watching replay, tell me where you're from too. I just love to know where people on the channel are coming from. It's just fun. It's so fun to connect with you guys. And so second little housekeeping thing I have, I'm not even gonna lie, I have tons of notes because doing a live video versus doing kind of one of my more like sit down and talk videos. My sit down and talk videos, you guys, take me like 4 or 5 hours to do because I have notes, I have things I want to say, I cut it and then I'll like redo it because I'm like, I didn't like how that went. Hello, Scotland, Chicago, United Kingdom. Hi, everybody, Winchester, Virginia. Oh, what's up, Phil? We were emailing. I'm so glad he joined Stephanie's Keto page, which is awesome. And it's very, very helpful in Salt Lake City. So I'm going to try to stick with my notes. But when I do these like sit down chat videos, the ones that are like 10 minutes long, those take me 5, sometimes 6 hours to do because I always have a lot of things I want to say, points I want to make. And so I'm editing them a lot just to get the points across. And then I always still miss stuff. So I'm trying in my live today with the topic to address several things and just to be as informative as possible. Because this is one of my big FAQs, something that I get. Yay, I'm glad you're here from the beginning too. And those of you on replay, I don't know how to take the StreamYard comments. I use StreamYard and integrate them so you can watch live chat. So again, if anyone knows that, has StreamYard experience, feel free to comment or send me a message. Okay, so housekeeping number 2, I'm not a doctor, nutritionist, giving you guys any kind of like medical advice. I always like to just say that. I think you guys know that by this point, but I just like to throw that out there. And other housekeeping. So this is a big thing that a lot of people say to me, especially when I do these kind of like troubleshooting videos or, okay, here's how I'm tweaking carnivore diet and okay, why don't you just quit carnivore? Because if it's causing you all these problems, then why don't you just quit? Like I get those a lot. Or you're overcomplicating it. So I've had to, you guys, and I'm going to talk about that in the stream. And if you're on the replay, it'll be in the video of the different problems I've had on carnivore, eating too much protein. I'm going to speculate. That's all this is speculation as to why I had those problems. And it's also speculation based on other people. I get like thousands of messages. Like I get a lot of messages in my DMs on Instagram, as well as here on YouTube. I try to answer all of them. I can't always get to everyone because I do have a special needs daughter who's the love of my life. And so it's a very hands-on job, especially now that we're in a different situation. I'm pretty much with her most of the time. My husband is watching her right now. So if you hear any loud noises in the background, that would be Alexis trying to come on the camera. So why I've stuck with carnivore when I've continued to have some issues that I've needed tweaking is because it has helped me with major depressive disorder. Above everything else, I've had a lot of other health issues that carnivore has helped me to resolve. But, you know, I'm dealing with some situational depression right now because of this whole, you know, situation going on right now. But the fact that I can realize it's situational depression and have a choice in the matter rather than, you know, what I would do before in the past when I was depressed is just like lay in bed and like not get up or just not do anything, not talk to anybody, just be like a shell of a human being. So what carnivore has done for me, the biggest thing among many, and I've talked about other benefits I've had with this way of eating in a lot of other videos. And thank you guys. Hello from Montana. And thank you, awesome opossum. So that's why I've stuck with this, is because right now I know I'm having a little situational depression, but I have a choice in the matter. I can take some action on that. And before carnivore, I didn't have a choice. And a lot of times I would have to go back onto SSRIs just to get out of bed, just to like face the day, just to have conversations with people, or benzodiazepine for severe, severe anxiety and sleeping medication. So I am without those medications for over 2 years now. And that is the longest I've been since I was 14, you guys, since I was 14. So this is a big deal for me. So before I jump into the too much protein, and because I know people are going to comment on this video and say, well, why do you just keep doing this way of eating if you're having these types of problems? Well, that's why, because I don't have that depression where I just don't have a choice in the matter and I have to go on medication. It hasn't happened. So I'm so grateful for that. Okay, so number one thing I want to address here is like, why do some people do okay on this like high amount of protein, 2 pounds plus of meat per day or 1.5 pounds of meat per day? You know, so, okay, so yeah, like this person saying, if I had to limit to 60 grams of protein, I would stop the carnivore diet. Yeah, I think I probably would have thought that too until I actually did it. But I think some people are and she says her blood sugar is between 70 and 90. I'm going to talk about that also, blood sugar levels. But I think that some people are able to have a steadier blood sugar or maintain ketosis, because I do think being in ketosis is important. I think that is because that they are very fat adapted. Perhaps they came to, you know, carnivore or this way of eating because they were in keto for a very long time. You know, so I think they're way more fat adapted. I think there's also a level of metabolic flexibility. I think people are metabolically healthy because I do have some friends. I have a lot of friends on Instagram, carnivore community, I guess you want to call it, that they are, you know, putting up those ketosis numbers. They're in that deep level of ketosis. So their blood glucose is in the range of, you know, those 70s to low 80s. You know, and their ketones are from that range of like 1.8 to 3.0, which is really your, you know, optimal ketosis. And hello from Italy. Awesome, you guys. Yes, and people gaining weight on the higher fat. Yeah, I will talk about that also as well, for sure. So I think those people are more keto adapted, because those people that I'm seeing that are just absolutely thriving on this higher amount of protein, I can look at them and see, you know, I think they're very metabolically healthy. They've been keto for a very long time. You know, they're fat. They're very, very fat adapted. I think there's levels of fat adaptation. So my message is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If you're thriving, eating a lot of protein, if you're like, 150, 200 grams plus protein a day and you're doing great, then don't mess with it. And I'm speculating here as to why I think those people are doing great. I could be 100% wrong. All of this, I could be 100% wrong, but I'm speculating, and it's just what I'm seeing, hanging out in the community, having conversations with people. Like I said, I've really formed some friendships with people who are very high protein people, and they're not adding extra fat and they're doing well. So, but I do see that as a common thread between a lot of them. And I actually did really well with the higher protein amount for the first like 3 or 4 months that I did carnivore. And I'm like sitting here like, why did it change? Like, why did it shift? Why did I start having problems? And one of the things that I think that happened for me, so your physiology will change on a given time. So what I just talked about with that metabolic flexibility, being keto adapted, I think that those people, their physiology is different, right? And I think when I first started carnivore, my physiology was a bit different. I had a lot of benefits right away. I felt great right away. My sleep improved right away. Like a lot of things just really, really improved. But I was also eating 3 meals a day. I was eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner because I was brand new to it. I hadn't started doing a lot of fasting and intermittent fasting. And what I started doing was about 4 months in, and that this is when I mark a very different, how I started feeling, how I started looking, everything was about 3 or 4 months into carnivore. And I had started doing I started doing extended fasting. I'd never done any fasting really in my whole life, unless it was accidental, unless I was not feeling well and sick. And I have a history, so I always like to say this about fasting. I have a history of a lot of disordered eating. I have lost 100 pounds 3 times. I think I mentioned that quite a bit on this channel. And I had PCOS. I had a lot of issues going on. So I think that the stress of doing those extended fasts, because I'm like a complete addict. I don't know if anybody watching can relate to this, but if I do something once and it feels really good, then I feel the need to just do it every day or do it every week or do it as often as humanly possible. That's pretty much what I started doing with extended fasting. So I started just doing a ton of it. I also flew across, it was about a year ago at this time, I flew across the world to Indonesia for a 10-day retreat. And I fasted all the way there. And while I was there, I barely ate because it was a vegetarian retreat. So I just ate eggs and cheese all week. And it was stressful. Even though it was like a meditation retreat, I was like fasted 48 hours to get there because it's a 24-hour trip, and then all the layovers. And then I barely ate when I was there. I fasted all the way home. Then when I got home, I was, eating, and I started kind of picking up the weight and not feeling well. I did a 6.5-day water fast. So yeah. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna look at this. Yes, so this is a good point here. Differences can be dictated by one's ability to do fat oxidation and mitochondrial health. Certain deficiencies can impact Yes. So I also have I have the MTHFR mutation. I have just a single copy of that. So that's also something to take into effect here. Do you know if you have the genetic mutation? Is that a thing for you? So that's, keto as I just have to highlight this. Yes. This is why my name, even if I don't ever stay 100% carnivore, if I move to a more keto approach, that's why my name will continue to be the Carnivore Yogi, because this is a freaking thing in the spiritual community. And I'm not even going to get into that topic right now, but all the retreats I want to go on for self-development and meditation and just rest and restore, all vegetarian. And it's total stupid, just stupid. Cause it's, I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get into that on this video. So anyway, got back from the retreat. And then this is when I really started having problems and my problems were, I wasn't sleeping. I was waking up a lot. I think I just kind of physiologically something shifted for me at that point. And I do think the fasting and the stress, like a very stressful event, can shift your physiology. I mean, I've seen it happen with people. A lot of you guys know I'm a yoga teacher. People have big traumas that happen in their life. They have, someone die, or even someone come in, a new baby or whatever. Your physiology changes, and things that you did at one point before are not going to work anymore. So when I lost 100 pounds almost 12 years ago, I did Weight Watchers to lose that weight. Yes, let's do a carnivore yoga retreat. I'm in. I'll highlight that. Yes, comment if you want to do a carnivore yoga retreat, or even just keto. We'll have some avocados there for those who partake. Some keto treats, those things. I would love to do that. Yes, meat-based yoga retreat. I'm in. Let's do it. Okay, yes. Okay, I'll talk about that. I didn't mean to click on this comment about swollen legs and edema and mucus, but I will talk about that also, because that is a whole other thing. Okay. I'm trying to stick to my notes, you guys. It's hard. So I think that there was a change in my physiology. Like I said, when I lost 100 pounds before 12 years ago, when I tried to do Weight Watchers again, because once you lose 100 pounds, this is why I've lost it 3 times, because it's hard to keep it off if you don't work with the reasons why you ate. If you don't work with the reasons why you had all that emotional eating, that addiction. I've talked about that in other videos. You can watch my video called Losing 100 Pounds 3 Times, my addiction story. I've also talked about this extensively with Dr. Rob Siwas, who is like my favorite. Love him because he speaks so eloquently about addiction. This is the problem. So anyway, losing 100 pounds and staying at, and I got it to a really low weight when I did lose the weight last time. It was hard to maintain. So I would gain weight and then want to lose it. And I would try to do Weight Watchers again. And it was like, no go. It wouldn't work. So I think that eventually, as I, came later into my 30s also, I became less and less carb tolerant. Also, I developed PCOS, so insulin resistance. That I didn't have that. I think when I did Weight Watchers before, it's kind of a carb heavy way of eating. It's like if it fits your macros type of approach, really. So I would get away with eating the potatoes and the treats and all that stuff, and the Weight Watchers desserts that come in the boxes. Let's see. I'm going to look at some of these comments before I keep going. Yeah. What to do if you can't consume the required amount of fat. I'll talk about that also. Because I think that some people do need supplementational support. This is another thing that I see people in carnivore groups, especially on Facebook, which is like, Facebook is just a toxic place to be right now. Comment below if you agree. You can just comment Facebook if you're like done with Facebook right now. But I see a lot of people in Facebook groups saying you don't need supplements, don't take supplements. I also see people doing these like carnivore experiments on YouTube. I'm going to do a carnivore experiment for 2 weeks or whatever to get more clicks and views on my channel. And then I'm going to talk about how wrecked my GI system was, or how, and it's because I think some people do need support for stomach acids, and some people have gallbladder issues. They may need some ox bile to support them with those higher levels of fat, because your body just years of low fat eating, or not eating a lot of meat, carb heavy diets, your body does not have the proper stomach acid your gallbladder may have some sludge in there. So you may not be able to tolerate the high fats nor meat. This is just something I see quite commonly. And this is nauseous. That's gallbladder right there. Can you please talk about getting nauseous when eating high fat? Thank you. That could be gallbladder. I'm saying could, because I'm not a doctor telling you guys what it is or what it's not, but being nauseous for me historically has been gallbladder. Also, if I try rendered fats, like I can't really handle rendered fats, that will make me nauseous. I can do high fat, but it has to be solid. It has to be like either frozen or room temperature. It cannot be a liquid fat, or I will get very nauseous. This is a great question. How do you know if you have kidney trouble? So this is like, I'm actually about to get to that, because this was the thing that made me switch to high fat carnivore, was my kidneys. So thank you for the super chat. I really, really appreciate that. And thank you for the question. So number one thing that made me switch to this approach was, and no makeup addict, I do not take ox bile. I haven't needed to, was kidney issues. So I have a link below this video with Let's Get Checked. They're one of my sponsors. So it's an affiliate link, but it's an at-home blood test that you can take yourself. So if you don't want to go to a lab, if you can't go to your doctor right now and get your kidney function checked, you can do this. But my kidney function was, my GFR, which is your filtration rate, was super low. It was in the 60s, and I'm 40. So that is, that's not good. So I think some of that was dehydration, but I also had elevated BUN and creatinine, and my urea levels were a bit high. So that means my body is having trouble filtrating out, I believe, all that protein. And because when I switched to the high fat approach, as well as fixed my electrolytes, so that's a whole other topic, that my GFR is back in the 90s now. So that I did a Let's Get Checked recently. I did my kidney function. Recently, my GFR is back in the 90s. I've been doing high fat carnivore for the last 90 days. And within 60 days, that GFR jumped back up in the 90s. I also had to work to fix those electrolytes. So this is a big problem, and kidneys are very sneaky. So I actually had kidney pain. I went to a doctor because I was like, what's going on with me? I got an ultrasound to make sure there was nothing wrong, that I didn't have crystals. I didn't have, oh, thank you so much for that, Julie. That's so, so, so kind. Thank you very much. You guys, super chat stickers, so, so appreciated right now. Since my husband and I are both really not able to work at full capacity, it's just crazy time. So I really, really appreciate that. But you really sometimes just have no idea that you're having kidney trouble. So I think it's important to kind of check those. There are carnivore doctors out there that say maybe these numbers are not a problem, that there is just something that they're seeing on carnivore, but the people are okay. But honestly, like, I'm still at that place where I think if I see a elevated, if I see a blood marker like that with my kidneys, I'm not trying to mess around with my kidneys. You only got like one set of those. You get one set of kidneys, you guys. I'm not trying to screw around with my kidneys. So that's when I was like, I want to stay carnivore, because as I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, I have found a way to not be depressed, not have clinical depression, not be on medications. Medications will also wreck your kidneys and wreck your body. So to be off of them is amazing and freeing for that reason. And also just to not have to take pills every day so that I can get out of bed. So I was like, I really want to stay carnivore, but I got to change something, because this high protein amount was causing my kidneys to have issues. So if you have a question about that, I'm not sure. I think the test is like under $100. You can have it sent to your house. It's super, super easy. And also, I think managing your electrolytes is very important in kidney health. Also, someone's saying snake diet Cole Robinson. Okay, so I think Cole is crazy AF, but I have binge watched his videos before. And he does say some stuff. If you get triggered easily, stay away from Cole's channel. Just like, don't. But I do think I like some of the stuff that he says. And I have used his snake juice before. You can actually buy his snake juice on Amazon in packets, and I've used those before. And I have a whole video about electrolytes. So you can go on my channel and search for electrolytes. I have a video that talks about my electrolyte kind of routine. So I think that that's important. Also, let's see. So other things I knew that I needed to switch to high fat carnivore, that the higher protein carnivore for me was not working, was the kidney thing was number one. Number two was the blood sugar dysregulation. So a lot of people come to, Cole Robinson is hardcore. Like, literally, you guys, if you get triggered, do not go on his channel. My husband, I'm sorry, I got to change this, put my power cord in real quick. Sorry. Okay, there it goes. Yeah. my husband trying to watch some of those, he's like, what is wrong with this person? I cannot do this. This is awful. But I guess my little twisted self like found some of his videos like super humorous. And some of the stuff I'm like, yeah, I can see that. But I don't fast also. I'm going to say that also because he's like the fasting dude. So I don't fast. What did I just say like 15 minutes ago about my fasting experience? I think it changed my physiology possibly. And I'm speculating again. I think it changed my physiology in a negative way. So that what I was doing before when I first started carnivore, those first 3 or 4 months, eating the higher protein, and it was working really well for me. I think it shifted something for me. I think all that stressing, with an eating disorder background, and then I think it did something to my my thyroid hormone. I think it just was not necessarily a good thing for me. I started having the kidney problem. I started having severe blood sugar dysregulation. So I'm going to answer this really quick. Could it be long-term oxalate intake damaging kidneys? Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why I actually went and got an ultrasound of my kidneys from my doctor. I went to a renal specialist because I was that worried about it to see if I had some crystals, to see if I had something going on, because I did have a very high oxalate diet before carnivore. And it was totally clear and fine. But yes, oxalates can give you stones in there, and they can damage your kidneys. Okay, so blood sugar dysregulation. I think that I thought my blood sugar was regulated because I would test it during the day with a Keto Mojo. And I think that's a good place to start. Absolutely. I would test it, as I would say, like 2 hours after my meals. And I would be like, okay, well, it's not going crazy. But what was an eye-opener for me was having a continuous glucose monitor on my arm. And I have a link below there. Let's see. Yes, that's you're okay. Sorry, I'm like spastic here reading. Like, yes. And then people watching a replay, what is she saying yes to? What is what's going on? Sorry. I'm kind of new at this. So thank you guys for being patient with me. So the blood sugar thing. So I had that continuous glucose monitor on. Now I do have one I recommend, and code and all that. It's another affiliate link. I'm going to be totally transparent about that. Those I don't make, I mean, it's not going to cost you guys anything extra to buy through that link, but it will help me out. This is part of me having an online business now. So it does really help me a lot, but having that CGM on it was showing at night that my blood sugar was going up into the hundreds, 120, 130, 100. It was shooting up overnight. And I was also, so some people say that's not a problem. That's okay. Well, you can watch my interview with Kara at NutriSense, who is she's the nutritionist. She's one of the developers of the company. We just did an interview about a week ago. And talked about that she talked about the dangers of your blood sugar shooting up overnight. Because I had a question, because here I am on my YouTube channel. I talk about my health data. I talk about this stuff. And then of course I get people who really want to like argue and fight with me to the death of like why that's okay and normal. I'm like, okay, I'm not in the mood to fight in my comments today. Not going to happen. Nope, not going to do it. But, she was like, that's dangerous. It's not really okay for your blood sugar numbers to be shooting up overnight. So you can go back and watch that full video on why that's not okay. But on top of that happening, I was waking up a lot waking up. Okay, I'll look into Paul Check. Thank you for that recommendation. But that was another thing that was happening, was I was waking up overnight. So I have sleep data from when I had done carnivore, and it was great that first 3 or 4 months, same exact way I was doing carnivore then, but my sleep data was jacked. Like I was waking up all night. It just was not good. So that was the other thing. I would feel like really, really tired after meals. So again, I think testing is important to confirm stuff, but also go by your symptoms. So you could totally be symptom based here, but after meals, I would just literally feel so exhausted after eating, a ribeye or a bunch of steak. See me, I'm drinking some water. I would get really, really exhausted after my meals, like have to lay down. So that's a sign that your blood sugar, your insulin's going out of whack. I'm not going to get super scientific. And then here's the other one that I've talked about a lot is amenorrhea. So my cycle would either not come or it was just totally, totally jacked up. So again, these are the problems that I had with eating too much protein. And again, some testing, I did drop some links below this video, some testing you guys can do just to kind of confirm it. Go by your symptoms. I'm not saying go out and like get a bunch of tests or whatever and spend a bunch of money. I don't want anyone to have to do that. And if your insurance will pay for you to get blood tests, do it, but go by your symptoms. So are you waking up at night? Has your cycle got irregular? Are you like super sleepy after you eat every single time? Are you having like all these crashes during your day where you're just exhausted, low energy? I mean, that could be the super high protein. It could also be electrolyte imbalance, because that's another big one. So check into those things, you guys, and you can get your A1C tested. I think that's important because that's going to give you a snapshot of where your blood glucose is. And to be in the 5s, if you're on carnivore, is not necessarily a good thing. I see people like 5.5, 5.6. That's not, and again, you can watch the interview I did with Kara where we really talked extensively about blood sugar. That's not necessarily a good thing to have your A1C be up that high. And that's kind of what had started happening with me. That, you know, latter part of last year, my blood sugar was super, super high. Women, if you're having amenorrhea, make sure that you get your sex hormones checked. I put the test links to that below this video if you want to just do a quick hormone check to see where your sex hormones are. Progesterone can be super low for a lot of women. That can cause the amenorrhea. And when I went to high fat, now I just did an update video on Friday, switching to high fat. I got my cycle back almost within just a couple weeks, and I just had my cycle again. It's back on a 28-day schedule. That hasn't happened in over a year. Like, it hasn't been like 28 day. It's just been like, boom. Let's see. Someone has a question with this. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm missing some of the questions. I'm going to be a little bit more open to questions now. I think I have covered everything. Was your high protein diet mostly from lean cuts of beef, like 1 pound top round steak? I just want to know. Okay, so when I was doing high protein, it was like ribeyes. I was like a ribeye gal, but I wouldn't add anything to the ribeyes. I also was doing eggs. I would do burger patties, and it was like usually 85-15 ground beef. I did bacon. So that was it. It wasn't, I really would not eat the lean cuts, because if I eat a lean cut, I would feel even worse. Like I did not do lean cut, but I wasn't adding any fat to, so you'll see some people adding fat to their ribeyes, you know, adding butter to their meats. I wasn't doing that at all, because I still had this kind of fat phobic thing. Why does so like, here's the thing. Why does protein make your blood sugar go up so much? It doesn't for everyone. This is what I talked about in the very beginning of the video. I have some friends that eat 2 pounds of meat per day, and they have shown me their numbers and they look good. So it doesn't do it for everyone. That's why I think testing is so important. So getting a CGM or just getting a Keto Mojo, testing yourself. But again, with only a Keto Mojo, I didn't know my blood sugar was like shooting up in the night. I had no idea until I had that CGM on my arm, because it was recording what was happening in my sleep. So here's how it works. Your blood sugar is going to have response to each of the macronutrients: carbs, protein, and fat. So for most people, the carbs is going to be that biggest response to your blood sugar is going to have the biggest response to carbs, obviously. The protein is not going to be as high as carbs, not anywhere near it, but it is going to have a response. The fat for most people is going to stay super flat, is not going to have a response. That's why people do fat fasting. That's why you see people in the morning having their bulletproof coffee with their oils and things in it, because you're not going to get a blood sugar response. Now, it's not that black and white. There are a lot of nuances to this, but that's just a simple reason why protein makes some people, and I'm just going to say some people's blood sugar go up. Okay, let's see. Yes, adding fat to ribeye helps me too. Yes, and it's good. Like, let's just talk about how delicious fat is. I've been afraid of fat my whole life, and now I just absolutely love it. Let's see. Yeah. So yes, like this is bio-individuality, and I'm not on my channel like trying to say my way or the highway. Do it my way or you're doing it wrong. Like, no, I'm not going to do that because I believe other people when they tell me things like this, like Alba is saying. I'm not going to call her a liar for saying she felt horrible, like chronic diarrhea and gained weight. I do think that some people have a harder time than other with the higher fats due to, again, the the excuse me, gallbladder, stomach acid issues. That could be an issue, and some people do gain weight initially on a higher fat approach because your body is not keto adapted yet. But and I've said it on my video on Friday, I'm not like leaning out right now. I'm not getting super, into that bikini body that I had planned on getting into, but I got my cycle back and my cycle is regular now. I'm not waking up 100 times per night. So I think that I really did need that extra fat. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. All I'm eating is coffee with froth almond milk and meat. Yeah, you may need to add some fat for that. Again, may need to. I don't know for sure. And it's not really, I don't know your stress levels. I don't know your health history, all your metabolic damage or health, any of that. Let's see. This is a good question. Were you only eating red meat when you had the blood sugar problems, or were there eggs and dairy? I noticed a huge energy gains when cutting them out. So yes, I actually did a meat only for, I want to say it was about 60 days. It was pretty much all of November and all of December. And I didn't do any eggs. I didn't do any dairy because I wanted to like do the ultimate, the ultimate carnivore diet experiment, to just do it because everyone says meat and water. And I actually tanked even more during that time because I think I was missing nutrients from like the egg yolks. Those are very nutrient dense, and I love egg yolks. I don't do the whites because I do react to the whites. I initially did feel good and lost some inches because I got rid of the dairy because I know dairy for me is very, very inflammatory. But with just meat only and not adding fat, my blood sugar was a mess. That's when I really started tanking. That's when I really started having the problems when I did meat only. And I know that's like, a lot of people may disagree with me on that, but that's cool because like it's just my experience. Like that's why I put Alba's experience up here, gaining weight and having issues. Now I think that could be dug deeper into a little bit as anything else. But here's the thing, no one is like, you don't have to do carnivore, you don't have to do keto, you don't have to do this. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. Don't have to. Let's see. Let me scroll here. I theorize genetics has something to do with what ratio. I totally agree with you, Amanda. Absolutely agree with you. Okay. Yes. Let me look at some of these comments. Yes, I did meat and water too. Was getting desperate. Definitely made me a lot. Yeah. And I didn't try it with added fat, but now that I do added fat, I can do meat and water, but I also do organ meats. Now, this is another thing that a lot of people say you don't need organ meats on carnivore. This is probably could be a bio-individual thing also, but when I have organ meats, I just do a lot better. I feel so much better when I have liver. I do thymus. I take ancestral supplements. If you're going to take those, leave them in your fridge, especially if you have histamine issues. This is, yeah. I think that he could be right. Charles Washington says too much protein makes you tired. Too much fat makes you nauseous. Yeah, if you have a gallbladder issue, or if you're like, having trouble with stomach acid, fat can definitely make you nauseous. And like I said, rendered fat made me super nauseous. Like anytime I like, this was dumb. My friends on Instagram were laughing at me, messaging me like, why did you even do that? Because I talked about it in my stories. If I talk about stuff in my stories all the time, I just kind of, shoot the shit with people. But it was like around Christmas time, I made some short ribs and they were so good that I like drank the broth straight without refrigerating it and laying the fat right at the top. I drank the fat straight and I was up throwing up, so I couldn't deal with those rendered fats. And Alba says, why dig deeper when I feel great? I agree. if you feel great, like I said in the very beginning of this video, don't knock it. Like do what works best for you. Find what works best for you. That's why I have the channel, because I think that it's important. You know, that's why I interview people also, because people that I interview have very, very different experiences than I do, like very different experiences than I do. And I think I assume people are telling me the truth. I don't see why they would have a reason to not. Let's see. Do you take any other supplements besides ancestral supplements? Yes, I do. I have my electrolyte routine. So I take magnesium glycinate twice a day. I also take potassium citrate right now because I cannot tolerate avocados. I'm still working through my histamine issues. So I do add that potassium citrate. I take a little cod liver oil, and then I take ancestral supplements kidney. I think that's it right now. And then I salt my food with red mints, but I try not to over salt. Yes. Yeah. So White Oak Pastures, I'll put a link below the video, or I think I already did, is where I get my liver because it's grass fed, it's pasture raised, and I can trust the quality there. Let's see. Yeah, they don't tell you refrigeration. And it was actually Stephanie that told me she started having histamine reactions to ancestral supplements. And she's like, okay, I'm having the kidney and I'm having the thymus to help me with my histamine reactions, but I'm having histamine reactions. What's up with that? So she put them in the fridge, and it stopped the histamine reactions. So yeah, all my ancestral supplements stay in the fridge now. And I'm like trying to get the message out. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I do use their products. I give them to my daughter because I'm trying to help her with histamine stuff also. So keep them in the fridge if you're going to use them, or any kind of desiccated liver, even if you don't use that particular brand. Let's see. I'm experiencing kidney pain. Any thoughts? I mean, get yourself checked out. I would see, you know, if you're GFR number, if something is skewed, you could also be having electrolyte imbalance. You could have too much. I mean, there's just so many things, like, and prior damage. I don't know if you're doing carnivore. There's just like, there's so many reasons why. For me, I kind of figured out the kidney pain and the kidney issues were from too much protein, and also my electrolyte imbalance. Because when I fixed those two things, my kidney numbers all normalized and actually looked really good. So this is a good question. Is your blood sugar back to normal now? And how many grams pound of body weight are you taking? I'm not sure about the body weight question, but yes, my blood sugar is back to normal now. I have not put a CGM back on my arm. I do have one in the bedroom that's kind of waiting for me, but I haven't put one back on because and this is a personal note, I had some services for my daughter. We were having some respite care, which was amazing. We recently lost that. So now I'm full-time parenting for my autistic daughter. It's very stressful. So I don't really want to see my blood sugar numbers because that can also cause stress. So I am checking with Keto Mojo. My fasted numbers upon waking have been 70s, low 80s, ketones ranging from 1.8 to 3.0 now that I'm doing high fat. And that's very, very consistent. Even the week before my cycle. So I had PMS last week. I know, Andrew, you're probably like, I don't care about your PMS, but women, when you have PMS, your blood sugar numbers are going to go up. They're going to be higher. That's just physiologically what happens. But even last week with PMS, my blood sugar numbers stayed in the low 80s, fasted every morning. So I know that this approach is working for me in that regard. Let's see. Waiting for your detailed histamine intolerance video blog. Yes, I know I need to get on that. But I can answer some questions if you guys have any. Sorry if I'm missing questions, you guys. If I miss a question, feel free to comment again. What symptoms did you have with the kidney issue? So again, like the kidney pain, that's why I went to the doctor, because I was like, oh, this hurts. This doesn't feel normal. I knew it was my kidney. I was peeing a lot. And I felt like, okay, maybe it's oxalate dumping, maybe something's going on, but I was up peeing a lot at night, and it just hurt. So like I said, I got an ultrasound and I had them check me out just to make sure it was nothing that, you know, I was like passing stones or something like that. But unfortunately, I'm doing much better now. How much salt do you do? So I just really salt my food to taste, and I have to, again, kind of be careful with that. If I do too much salt, I will swell. I actually took a picture here to show you guys. Well, I screenshot. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is me in November when I was doing meat only, okay, and my electrolytes were off. My body weight, I think, is pretty close to the same, but I want to show you guys, hopefully you can see this, my face in this photo. Let me zoom into it. Like, I look like I got stung by some freaking bees, okay? Can you guys see that? Yeah, that's me. Same, sorry. There we go. There it is. Same body weight, okay? Too much meat only, no eggs, no organ meats, just fatty, you know, ribeyes, and not managing electrolytes. So, okay. How many grams protein body weight is what I meant. Oh, okay. So I'm eating per day right now, and it depends on my activity level and all that, somewhere between 50 to 65 grams of protein. And people are like, oh my gosh, you're going to lose muscle and blah, 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 blah. When you're in ketosis, it's very muscle sparing, and it's not what people think it is. People don't know enough about ketosis. They don't know enough about building muscle. I know bodybuilders and people with a lot of big muscles that stay in that lower protein range. Go to Stephanie's page. She's ripped. She eats less protein than I do because she's shorter than I am. And look at how ripped that woman is. Did you have foamy urine? I did not. I did not. But that is definitely a sign of some kidney problems. Whew, out of breath. Take a deep breath. How do you know if you're having a histamine response? It can show up so many different ways. And right now is spring. You know, we're getting towards closer to summer, but a lot of things are blooming here. I'm in Georgia. It can be itchy skin. That's the first thing that happens. I'll be out on a walk and I'll just be like, oh, I'm so itchy. Runny nose when you're eating something. That's a definite histamine response. Eczema, lack of sleep, waking up a lot at night during sleep since I added thymus into my diet. I'm not waking up as much or really even at all. So there's a lot of things. I'm trying to have a histamine expert. Well, I'm supposed to interview somebody on my channel on Wednesday. Let's hope that she's coming still. And she's a histamine expert. Yes, let's see. Too much. Let me just highlight. Too much histamine can cause chain reaction of water retention. Yeah, no, it absolutely can. And absolutely. Let's see. Can you go over on your sunlight exposure? Sorry, your circadian rhythm can be a thing of can of worms. Yeah, and I think circadian rhythm is a major, major thing that people need to take into account right now, especially that we are, you know, on our screens a lot more because a lot of us are at home. Things have changed, but I don't really have a big, I'm not a big expert on this. I will tell you, my friend, Dr. Rimka, who was on my channel, she is a master at light. So, and she's worked with Jack Kruse, Kruse. He's huge on light, talks about that extensively. So go on her channel or go follow Jack Kruse. I think that they could give you a better answer. You can find Stephanie on YouTube. Just search Stephanie Keto Person. Yes, Amanda, that was one. And I did a video about avocados because I tried to add avocados back in because they have it. It's a natural source of potassium. So you have to be very careful with potassium. A lot of people say take Nusol or take cream of tartar and take these other things. Those can be really, really hard on your kidneys. So the goal for me eventually is to be carnivore avocado yogi. Change my name, put a little logo there. Just kidding. But I do want to add those avocados back in because it's a very good way to get your potassium. And when I had avocados, that was what was happening with me, was my heart rate was like ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. It was bad. So, okay. I have sudden eczema on my forearms after trying avocado, lower back pain, nerve pain. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a lot of other things. I would try to get a consult or work with. I know Stephanie's still doing consults. She has a keto group. If you're not in that, it's like $15 a month, and she could answer that probably more intelligently than I could. But the eczema is most of the time a histamine reaction. So yeah, and that's what I just said with Lori's question. Are you still taking potassium supplements or getting it from food? If so, what types of food? Yeah. So a lot of people say you can get potassium from meat, but again, our soil, and you guys can feel free to ask me questions. I'm going to be on for like another 10 minutes or so here. But you do want to get your potassium from food if you can. And people say you can get potassium from meat, but if the soil is depleted of those minerals, this is why I think that we need magnesium supplements, because the soil is extremely devoid of magnesium, and you can't really get it from foods like they say it's in. So I think most people need to supplement with magnesium. I think the same goes for potassium. So if the cow that you're eating, if the meat that you're eating was, corn-fed, or not eating a nutrient-dense grass soil, I don't think that you're going to get those proper nutrients. So that's my answer to that one. I'm going to look down here and see if I have missed anything on my list of points that I want to make, because I'm waiting for some more questions to come in. Yes. So I think I've answered a lot of the stuff here. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free to throw them up there in the chat. I would be very happy to answer questions. Let's see. Yeah, I'm eating mostly meat and eggs, but getting little blisters on my back and legs. Not sure what that's about. I mean, that could be so many things, but if it's from histamine and you're eating mostly meat and eggs, number one, you could be having a histamine response from the eggs. That could be a thing. And then if you're not with your meats, like either rotating them, or if you're cooking meat and eating a lot of leftovers, if that meat is gathering a lot of bacteria, then that could absolutely cause a histamine problem, which, and again, histamine is going to affect different people in different ways. Thank you so much, Keto as a Last Resort. I love the name too. Carnivore is a last resort for me too. Resort for me also. Yeah. Dr. Rimka, Rimka. She has her own YouTube channel. She's also all over Facebook, and she's Instagram. She's a personal friend of mine, lives right down the street from here. I had her on a live lately, but she's taught me tremendous amount about light and about circadian rhythms and cold therapy, which I have not even really gone into cold therapy on this channel. Honestly, my freezer is out of room right now. So all my cold therapy equipment is thawed out. So I haven't even been able to use it. But yes, check her out. How do you measure your progress? By weight or by measurements? How often do you check? So right now, I'm not looking to say I want to cut a bunch of weight or lose a bunch of weight. I'm seeing, are my cycles on time, and am I ovulating? Those are my things. Am I sleeping? Am I getting my cycle on time? Right? And am I ovulating? Those are my three big markers right now. And how do I feel? Am I having blood sugar, energy crashes? I'm like really taking the pressure off myself to lose weight and all that stuff right now. So that's really more of how I am testing that stuff out. So I have a link in here underneath. It's called Sarah's Favorite Carnivore Tools. Has a link to all the supplements that I use, different brands and things like that. She says what brand of supplements you use for potassium citrate and calcium citrate. And how often do you test your functions? I mean, I'm assuming that you're talking about the Let's Get Checked or the A1C or any of that. When I feel like there's a problem, if I'm having symptoms. So I don't think people need to rush out and buy a bunch of stuff and test, but if you're having a bunch of symptoms, just confirm it. That's what I do. So if I have a symptom and I'm like, I need to confirm this, then I will test. Let me go down here. Oh my gosh, you guys are so sweet for these super chats and super stickers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a good question. Is it okay to consume coconut oil if you have histamine intolerance? I mean, are you reacting to it? That's going to be my major question. Are you reacting to it? Maybe try avocado oil. But because I react to coconut, I tried some coconut cream recently and it was no bueno. Major headache. My blood pressure goes up when I eat eggs, and I didn't realize this until yesterday. Yeah, that's also your blood pressure, your heart rate is a really great way. You can do a pulse test. You can put some food in your mouth and test your pulse. And if your pulse goes up, you're probably intolerant to that food. Thank you so much, Amanda, for the super chat sticker. You guys are awesome. And thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are awesome. Awesome, awesome. And trying to not miss, yeah, and butter or ghee, that could be another one, but those could also cause histamine. So I'm off of butter and ghee right now because I was getting really bad headaches from butter and ghee. So I would actually, and some people may disagree with me, favor the coconut oil over the butter and the ghee. Yeah, histamine is definitely a bugger. Yeah, leftover meat is a problem and is ground meat. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with this 100%. And she also says dry aged is definitely bad too. Did you have problems with oxalates? Yes, I did. I had oxalate dumping in the very beginning of carnivore. It manifested for me as like crystals coming out of my eyes. I had some skin rashes, and I had really bad headaches, and I did not know what those were from. How long is, okay, so the sensor for NutriSense, it lasts for 2 weeks. They send it to you, you pop it on your arm, you activate it, and it's good for 2 weeks. So you can just do a 2 week. They used to have it so you could only do it for 3 months or, 6 months, but now they have 2 week time periods. Let's see. Thank you, Colleen. That is so sweet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so he's saying he does get, or she, I'm not sure, gets reactions from butter and ghee and comfortable. So if you're comfortable with coconut oil, I think it's okay, honestly. Yes, histamine reaction can absolutely cause bloating, and it has for me. Thank you, Phil. And Phil actually reached out to me via email, and he joined Stephanie's keto group, which is what if people are like, I can't afford a consult, I'm having problems, I've got stuff going on. Stephanie Keto Person, again, you can go to her website to find this. She has a $15 a month keto group, which I think is like ridiculously cheap for what she does in there. She does mini consultations. I'm in the group now because I'm trying to learn as much as possible. I'm always learning. I want to pick stuff up. But she does mini consultations on every weekend. So you can put your name in to do a mini consult with her, talk about what problems you're having, or you can just go in there and learn. She does a course lesson every single week. I think this week, I'm not sure what it was on this week, but she's done long ones on histamines, different reactions, how to manage them, how to heal them. So just for me, it's great to just, I'm learning so much, and it's like $15 a month. Are you kidding me? And to get like a consult for that price, because a consult can be pretty expensive. So I think that is a great, great option. So, all right, guys, let's see. Do you find you have more histamine reactions since doing keto carnivore? I honestly think that I was having tons of histamine reactions, but I didn't really notice them. I just saw them as normal. So every spring I used to, during this time, because I remember senior prom was this time of year, my nose would run like a faucet. I would get horrible, horrible hay fever. This is just a horrible time of year for me. This year, my nose has not run even one time. It's like, what? I'm not complaining, but I think my histamine stuff has gotten better. I used to get my nose and face would flush when I would eat certain foods, which I didn't know that was a possible histamine problem. I don't get flushed when I eat. I don't sweat when I eat. My nose doesn't run when I eat. So, I think I'm more aware of histamine reactions now, and I'm just probably somebody that will stay away from those foods unless I know I can tolerate them every now and then. But yeah, so that's my answer to that question. All right, guys. So I'm right at about an hour here. Any burning desires? Any burning desire questions? Let me know and I will answer. But I also want to say thank you guys all for coming on to chat. It's really fun to interact with community. I've been so stressed out with this whole situation. Like, a lot of things in my life are completely different. I think that is going on for a lot of people. As I kind of mentioned in the beginning of this video, I'm dealing with a little situational depression right now. It's hard to not. especially when your whole life is totally changed and all the support that you had is kind of just gone. So these lives, I'm having so much fun talking with you guys. It just like uplifts my spirit. It's really, really, really nice. Let's see, a couple more questions. My reactions are decreasing with keto and carnivore, but mine are mostly food allergies, was cross react with environmental allergies. So no meds this year. So that's awesome, Amanda. I'm kind of experiencing same. Aw. I don't know what this means. I read that vitamin C is a nature anti. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, here we go. Is a natural antihistamine. I wonder if upping that would, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really know enough about that to be, you know, I'm not an expert on that. I would talk with Paul Saladino. I think he would probably answer that a lot better for me than me. Thank you, Debbie. You're so, so, so sweet. And Debbie says she's trying beef fat and it's gross. Then try a different fat. I'm obsessed with Iberico pork fat right now. It's so good. It's so, so good. All right, y'all. And then Debbie Wagner. Yes, lamb suet. We just got some lamb suet because my daughter, you guys, is keto. She loves the hell out of some lamb suet. It's so, so, so good. All right. Should weight, and I'm going to go after this one. Last question. Should weight training be avoided at the time of healing through leaky gut and histamine intolerance? I think that if you're going to do weight, I think that's more of an adrenal thing. I think that, and no, Debbie, I don't cook the lamb suet. She eats it raw out of the freezer. It's so, so, so good. I think that you do time under tension weights. Again, this is a thing that Stephanie talks about. You got to be really careful with weight training. You don't want to overdo it, but I think it does help. It helps to build the lean body mass. It helps to increase your insulin sensitivity. So I think it's good. I do some lightweight training. I try to do it as much as I can. I've been a little bit off task lately with this whole situation, but yeah. So, all right, y'all, 1 hour. I'm going to see if I can do another live next week at this time. I'm having fun doing lives on Mondays at 12:30. So thank you, thank you, thank you again for coming on, all the super chats and stickers. I appreciate you guys. I know everyone's struggling right now in their own situations. So it's just really fun to connect with you guys. I really appreciate all of you. And all right, I will see you on the next broadcast, and feel free to reach out if you have questions. All right, on Instagram is usually the best way to get me. All right, bye guys.